most important thing that most poor people can have is a job. What we're trying to do is to lift countries out of poverty. And to do that, you have to have a private sector with firms that are bigger than 1 or 2 person family-owned businesses. ANDE is focused on these small and growing business entrepreneurs who have the potential to create not 2 jobs per company, but 20 or 200. In developed countries, these firms drive 50 or 60% of job creation and economic activity. But in developing countries, they're typically less than 20%. Our belief is if we can help grow them, they're going to increase their percentage of importance within the economy and create hundreds of thousands or millions of new jobs.
We said to ourselves that we should have some kind of an innovative, sustainable business model. We are developing a project called 111. The project 111 is basically generating 1 million employment into the villages, generating 1 million tons of biodiesel to be produced, and generating about 1 million acres to be cultivated in that particular area. The company cannot generate farmers on our own, so what we do is we identify a franchisee at a village level. Typically the franchisee could be an agri-entrepreneur, it could be an NGO, it could be a self-help group. We are a company. We're creating a business model which will be social, which will be environmental, and which will be economically benefited to overall, not only in India but across the globe.
When you're generating profits and creating a financially sustainable enterprise, then your viability rises substantially. We're very involved in working with the community members to let them realize the importance of establishing their own markets, the cost of logistics, encouraging them to develop markets within their immediate vicinity. We expose the potential to the entrepreneur, and their entrepreneurial spirit leads them to decide what product they wish to create or grow. The scope is wide open in terms of what can be done.
Can you see how big is that garden now? Yes, and we want it to be bigger. Even maybe next year if you come here you will see a big change.
ANDE is based on a fundamental belief that the best way to have sustainable economic development is to have sustainable organizations driving it.
What was very important and not clearly understood by the people in general was that for you to serve the community, you first need to be profitable yourself. The major challenge for the company was to hit profitability quickly, to ensure that we learn from the mistakes. The first thing was we changed the business model, and that changed the entire equation because we were able to choose locations which are profitable for us, and more importantly, we were able to reduce the cost of debt. And the good news is that unlike the previous model, which looked at profitability over a 5-year period, we are able to hit that number in the first 90 to 120 days.
Probably internet cafes in Brazil is the biggest fever in the last decade. We believe that internet cafes are the best way to provide high-quality education to these low-income communities. The owners are not so prepared to run their businesses. We have courses to help them to manage better. We believe that hybrid model between companies and the societies is the best way to reach these communities. This is a self-sustainable business. We believe that social business is the future.
One of the fascinating things about ANDE is the great energy that takes place when we're able to get our members together. And I see it most at our annual meeting where we've got 20 or so countries represented, 100 people. And in this group you find dozens and dozens of people who burn the midnight oil coming up with interesting ideas. It could be a new financial structure or a new technical assistance program.
The basic idea is to create a network in Brazil of organizations that support this sector and connect those organizations locally with the ANDE Global Network to bring the benefits at a global level down to the local level.
We have management consulting firms, we have technical assistance providers in agribusiness and entrepreneurship, we have investors, we have academia. With business being done across borders around the world, it's very important to have a very, very strong international ecosystem on the one hand, but a very strong regional presence on the other hand.
Not only do they find people who have similar ideas and a similar drive, but they find an organization that can support that with real efforts to implement them. Talent is actually the first and most important challenge that SGBs face. Actually putting together a company requires having skills at a variety of levels. Access to markets is critical because even if you have a good company based on a good idea, often they don't have the ability to link up with local markets in those countries. You need capital to actually grow the firm. And many of the companies don't actually have access that would drive that kind of growth.
In South Africa at the moment, there is a shortage of biotechnology skills in general and vaccine manufacturing skills in particular. Biotechnology should be one of the main contributors in the economic well-being of South Africa. We're not only doing it for us, we're also doing it for the country in terms of addressing the skills shortage in biotechnology and also addressing the unemployment.
Sustainable business, particularly focused to social entrepreneurship, which provides employment opportunity, are the type of models which are required in the world now. For them to handle very sophisticated equipment would be initially difficult. So we try to overcome that by breaking the whole engineering process into small one, which can be handled by various people. The value chain as far as our product line is concerned is tremendous. Any initiatives, particularly to bring in clean energy, must start from the individual household. Every individual starts contributing something. I think cumulatively it adds up to the world's good. So that is exactly what we are trying to do.
Being member-driven is core to ANDE's existence. It's core to the way we do business.
E&Co works very closely with ANDE in providing information on our activities, on identifying the needs that E&Co is facing in the marketplace.
Being an entrepreneur is not easy, and I've doubted myself a couple of times. If you're growing a small business, having a sounding board, having an outsider that can help you look at the business, take a thousand-yard view of the business is critically important.
Knowing how to manage a business is not intuitive. The opportunity we have is to give people the mentoring and the training and the business frameworks and knowledge to do that effectively.
At the end of the day, the real growth, the real movement has to come in those emerging markets themselves. We're here to support that, we're here to seed that, we're here to build capacity in those markets, but ultimately they're responsible for their own prosperity, and we think they can do that in a generation.